It's your boy, Big Walt, back with more Blockchain 411. In this instance, I happen to come across a perspective piece. And for people interested in NFTs, I think this is a good article for you to read, and I'll give you, some of it. But it talks about NFTs, but then it gets into the broader sort of collectibles market, and talks about why it's important, what it means to be, alive and a collector today, and how we got to this place where we are now. I'll get into more detail on the other side of the intro, so rock with me. So let's just jump right into it, fam. This is an article I came across in Entrepreneur magazine, and the title is thus: From NFTs to fine wine, we're entering a golden age for modern collectors. With a few clicks of a button, you can invest in vintage comic books, fine wine, and blue chip artwork. It hasn't always been that way. Here's how we got here and what the future might have in store, right? I'm not familiar with this author, Anthony Zhang, but seems interesting and offers a pretty good perspective. So anyway, let's read. Collectibles have been around since the dawn of civilization. They exist because the laws of supply and demand. When something is rare or popular, it makes an item valuable. The item doesn't even need to have, quote, traditional value to be worth a lot of money. It's why someone paid $1.3 million for a picture of a clip art rock in August. Many early collectibles were marketing ploys. Company used them as incentives, such as cigarette cards and cigarette packs. Popular items could spark a secondary market, with coveted items creating a collectible frenzy. Companies also encouraged collecting with lineups of limited edition items. Think baseball cards with different players on them, or the endless variety of Beanie Babies. Ardent collectors would try to collect a complete set. While collecting Beanie Babies seems like a carefree activity, there is some serious cash to be made. If you have $600,000 lying around, you can buy a large Wallace and his squad, whatever that is. Collectibles also carry some serious risks. Imagine trying to sell large Wallace and his squad before the internet. The highly illiquid asset would be borderline impossible to unload for a profit. Other historical barriers to entry included prohibitive costs, limited access, limited information, and geography. That all changed with the advent of the internet and a couple of legislative tweaks. How did we get here? Regulation crowdfunding. Limited access has been one of the highest barriers to entry. It's because the government established Regulation D in 1982, which said who was qualified to invest. The terms for these individuals was accredited investors. Accredited investors had to meet certain criteria. That meant 1, having an annual income of $200,000 or $300,000 joint income for a married couple for 2 consecutive years, or 2, having a net worth of $1 million, not including your home. Remember, these numbers were created in 1982. They were never adjusted for inflation. Still, there were only 12 million accredited investor households as of 2016. That represents roughly 10.6% of all US households. It's kind of an exclusive club. In 2016, regulation crowdfunding became legal. Anyone over 18 could purchase securities from a private company. Small companies and startups could now raise money from regular fans or customers instead of being beholden to accredited investors. The legalization also let everyday investors put their money into products they cared about or wanted to support. This all happened under the Obama administration. I think it was called the Jobs Act or something like that. I'm not 100% sure, but I think that's what it was. Anyway, digital democratization. The internet has made everything available at your fingertips. You can go purchase NFTs, non-fungible tokens, at Rarible, or Air Jordan 1s at StockX. Without this interconnected network, collectors would have highly restricted access to items and information. A prime example of digitization is VinoVest. Historically, investing in fine wine has been a game for the ultra wealthy. You had to know someone who knew someone to secure great vintages in the 10 wine auctions. If you didn't have the money, you didn't have a chance to invest. VinoVest has democratized fine wine. It created a central hub online where anyone can buy and sell first-class wine. You don't have to know someone who knows someone. You don't need to be an expert in fine wine. You don't need a specialty wine cellar or security guards either. As long as you make a qualifying deposit, you have access to the best wines worldwide. I need you to do me a favor, fam. Please click that subscribe button and the like button. It might be a small thing to you, but to us it's huge. We're trying to hit this 1,000 subscriber milestone one subscriber at a time. So YouTube will recognize us and give us access to the tools that will allow us to bring you more and even better content. Thank you for your support, fam. We really appreciate you. Narrowing of expertise. You can think of the internet as everybody's favorite public library. For collectors, that means the ability to learn about an asset and the market before investing. Information was significantly harder to come by a few decades ago. You had to trust the word of mouth stories and whatever physical literature you could get your hands on. Take this NBA top shot of LeBron James posterizing Nemanja Bjelica. The internet makes it a snap to become an expert on this NFT. For instance, we know that there are only 32 versions of it. The average sale price is around $30,000 and the top sale price is $99,999. If you have these insights, you can make better judgment of its value. Pre-internet though, you would have to rely on your gut instinct and what limited research you had. Reasons to collect alternative assets. Actually, before I go over there, what are we looking like over here? Oh, this is the very specific LeBron James joint. They're asking $1 million for this now. Yeah. So, interestingly enough, these collectibles, these new NFT collectibles, going for lots of dough. Anyway, let's go back to this article. What are some of the reasons to collect alternative assets? It's no secret that alternative assets are hot commodities. Experts expect the industry to reach $14 trillion by 2023. That's a 59% increase from its current asset valuation. So why are collectibles so collectible? Here are a few reasons. Portfolio diversification. Stocks and bonds rise and fall closely with the stock market. Alternative assets don't. The loose correlation makes them excellent portfolio diversifier. Higher ROIs. That's return on investment for the uninitiated. To be clear, higher returns on investment are not a guarantee. However, if you invest your money wisely, you can beat the stock market. A hedge against inflation. People invest in gold to hedge their money against inflation. Today, you have many more options, including Bitcoin and Ethereum. Recession resistance. Also, let me pause on that for a second. A lot of folks don't know that inflation happens every year. So if we're dealing with 2% or 3% inflation each year, and you put your money in a savings account, let's just say it bears no interest, or just a checking account even. You got money sitting in a checking account with no interest. If we experience 2% interest, on a yearly basis, if you have $100 sitting in your checking account in 2021, a year later in 2022, your $100 is really only worth $98. You've actually lost money. You haven't spent it. You haven't invested and put it at risk or anything. You just kept it in a safe place. Hell, you could have had it, under your mattress. That $100 is now only worth $98. It only has $98 worth of buying power in 2021 money. So this is why, most people should be thinking about hedging against inflation. Just keep money in cash. Large sums of money in cash is not really a wise thing to do unless you have other concerns. Anyway, recession resistance. Brace for the worst if the economy crashes and you have a portfolio of stocks and bonds. You can likely preserve more of your wealth with recession-resistant assets. Own a tangible object. You only own stocks, bonds, and mutual funds on paper. That's not the case with collectibles. You can place your Honus Wagner card in your mantle until you're ready to sell. So this is actually the ability to possess things. When you buy 100 shares of Apple stock, the stock stays in a custodial vault somewhere. There's a ledger that says that you own it, or whatever. And if you were to sell it, the ledger, there's an entry that just says that, the asset transferred, but it stays in the vault. With these collectibles, oftentimes you actually own them. You can possess them if they're physical assets. If they're digital assets, you actually own them because you control the private keys, that give you ownership of that asset, in the virtual world. Collect with passion. I'll go out on a limb and say few people are passionate about investing in AT&T or Wells Fargo. Well, that's not too much of a limb. If you're an onophile, why not own a bottle of Chateau Margaux? You can let the value appreciate over time, or in a worst case scenario, drink it. This article is interesting because it's providing a broad perspective and background on why this is even a thing. And if you have interest in it, but you weren't sure about it, this can help you, derive, your own insights. It's good information. It goes on to talk about, what they think the future of collectibles are and that sort of thing. I'm not going to continue, with all that. But I just wanted to bring this to your attention because I thought this was useful information. And, the Block Boys family can always benefit from useful information. So tell me what you think, fam. I mean, do you think collectibles are, silly? Do you think they're foolish investment? Or do you agree with the author in that, these multiple reasons, that he lays out, are actually valid reasons to dabble in these alternative assets and or collectibles. Anyway, that's it for now. I will see you next time I pull up on the block. Until then, though, holla.